All right, this is Dave Gagnon, and this is the expansion meeting for the Gagnon Group. Today we're going to touch on three topics. We're going to touch on should I stack in my revenue share, and then what is my personal follow-up strategy when I talk with someone. And the third, if we have time, will be what if you're talking with someone, they go through the due diligence process, and at the end, they decide that at this time they're going to stay where they're at. Okay, so first topic, let's talk about stacking. So I get these questions for folks who come from another brokerage that's out there, my old brokerage, as to whether they should stack or not, because in that system, the payout really isn't very much, doesn't add up to a whole lot in many of the offices. And so there's an encouragement of stacking where if you have, let's say, a couple where you have one of them who writes all the production and the other one either writes less production or is more in a support role. You put the person with production under the person who doesn't do a lot of production, so now you can make the money off the person in production, right? And so it makes sense in that system, again, because it's so thin anyway, and the split is not very competitive. It's a 70-30 split, then there's a 6% royalty, so it's really 64%. And so you're trying to manipulate the system to get something back in their hands to try to make it seem better. At EXP, it's night and day. So first of all, it's 80-20, and of the 20% that comes in, a little more than half of that gets paid out in revenue share. And it's 3.5% of the gross, and it caps at the $2,800 if someone's a frontline. And so people start thinking that if I come over and I put my wife under me, I'm not married, but let's say my wife, put my wife under me, then if I put all of my people that I'm attracting to the company under my wife, then she's going to get paid and I'm going to get paid, right? That would be double dipping, two lines. It seems like a good idea, especially since in our model we pay more at level 2 than we do at level 1. So we pay 3.5% at level 1, we pay 4% at level 2. So there's a lot of incentive to help the people that you're bringing in. What people either forget or they don't understand is in order to get paid the big bonus at level 2, you need to have 5 frontline qualified recruits, or FLQRs, right? And so an FLQR is someone who would be under me. Now everyone counts in their first 6 months automatically as FLQR. Once that 6 months is done, the system is going to look backwards over the prior 6 months and see if that person is qualified. And on the production side, you can be qualified by participating in 2 transactions or $5,000 of gross commission, either, right? And so it looks backwards, and if someone hasn't done that, then they don't count as an FLQR. So it's not just someone that you recruited, it's someone who is also productive. And so if I put my wife under me and I'm not productive, then I don't even count as a frontline for my sponsor, right? So that's like stealing a very important asset from someone who's pouring into me. So that's not right. Secondly, now my wife is under me, and we're putting all the recruits under her. They're on my level 2. If I'm not 5 wide, I make very little on that. I don't make the 4%. I make, I think it's 0.5%. And so it's, it's 0.2%. And so it's very little. It's $160 a year instead of $4,000 a year. And so that's not worth it, right? And then people think, well, I'll get 5 so I can unlock it, and then I'll help my wife get 5. Well, as soon as any of their recruits recruit someone, now I need to be 10 wide, right? So if you do the math out and you're attracting good people, the depth happens pretty quick. And so if you have 2 people who are going to participate in growing, I think there's far more value in going wide on one line and get 50 or 60 wide and then start building under another person. Any questions around that? So the other thing I'll say on that topic is um, if you believe in the compounding effect of efforts, right? So, and it never works, you know, in a smooth number, right? So if I say, well, if I got 10 and I helped them each get 10, that would be 100 people on my line 2, and if they all each got 10, I'd have 1,000 people on my level 3, right? So it doesn't work that way, but over time, your level 2 should have more people than what you can bring in personally. Your level 3 should have more than your level 2. And so, you know, my numbers as they build out, you know, the deeper levels are getting wider and wider than the closer levels because I have more and more good people contributing, right? So over time, I believe my level 7 will be far greater in width than my level 1 or 2 could ever be, because I should have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that are adding people to my level 7. And so if I start stacking people under my fictitious wife, they would be on her level 7, but not my level 7. It's only level 6, right? Because they would be one more level removed. So I think if you do the math, it is more important early to go wide. And then if you want to build another line of width after you are comfortably 40 plus wide, then that can make sense. All right. Any questions on that before I go on to follow-ups? Okay, good. All right. So so I'm going to do the last one next, and because I think it ties into the follow-up. So let's say I've spoken with, I'm going to say the agent's name is Fred. So I've spoken with Fred, and Fred has been very engaged. He's watched the video. We've spoken a couple of times, um, and Fred just, you know, at the end of it all says, it really sounds interesting. It sounds intriguing. But I have, you know, several very compelling reasons to stay with my current broker or in my current situation. And so I thank you, Dave, very much for your time, but I'm going to stay here, right? So what do you do with something like that? Well, to me, it becomes, you know, a follow-up. And so attraction is not, you know, like a swing and a hit or miss, right? It's not a yes, no, and then nothing ever happens again. For me, it's the beginning of a relationship. So I really think 3 things can happen, right? Either you start the process and no relationship develops, and then it can be a no and you're out, and just wish them well, and someone else may develop a relationship with them, right? I think the other 2 things that can happen is I start a relationship with someone, they don't join, but if I maintain a relationship long enough with them, they can join later, right? I've had people come in after 3, I think Susan Cook here in the room was 3 years of, you know, ongoing touch points and conversation. I've had other people 2 years. I've been doing this for a year and 5.5 years here. I'm sure at some point, right, it'll be, holy cow, I've been talking with this person for 12 years and here they are, right? And so if it's the start of a relationship, they're just not here yet, then it's up to me to nurture that relationship. If they join, then I still want to nurture the relationship. Now they're my business partner, right? And so anyway, so with Fred, if Fred says, I gave it a lot of thought and consideration, I prayed on it, whatever process they're using, and they say, but I'm going to stay here, I think the response is important. And so the way I think I would typically respond to this would be, um, congratulations on making a decision, and I most certainly can appreciate it. I hope you won't be offended, but I'd like to stay in touch with you over the years. They typically will say, no, 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 that's fine. And then the last thing that I would do is say this. So Fred, if you were going for a listing presentation and you didn't get the listing, would you want the seller to let you know why they didn't choose you? Shut up and wait for an answer. What do you think they're going to say? Of course they would like to know why. Well, Fred, it's the same thing here, right? I really appreciate you letting me share everything with you, but I most certainly want to get better at the opportunity, and I think it's the best opportunity, so obviously I missed something. Would you just share with me the 2 or 3 reasons why you decided to stay with your current broker? And whatever they are, right? And so if I feel that one of the things that they're saying is a stronger value that I didn't cover, I want the opportunity to fix it now, right? So it might be, um, you know, um, they just don't see value in stock options and having to buy them and blah blah blah, and be like, oh my goodness, I must have messed something up, because it's not stock options, it's stock awards, it's actually your stock, right? So but if it's something that might be legitimate to them, right? um, like I had one where they're going to stay because their broker has a big new development, and they've been promised they're going to get half the listings. And so if that's 30 homes, they're going to get 15 listings at $5,000 a piece, right? That's what, $75,000 in commissions if they stay. Well, maybe I can't overcome that objection today. But if they tell me that's the reason, now I can start digging in, right? And so when are the listings going to start coming on the market? Oh, in October. Well, that's fantastic. And so I can totally understand. Let me ask you, if it turns out that it's just a ploy to try to keep you and you don't get half the listings, are you still open to coming here? Well, yes, I am. Well, great. Let's talk early October. We'll see how the project's going, right? And so I want to isolate the objections. I want to identify, where the value proposition differential is. And I want to be able to identify some kind of time frame to it. And then I want to be able to put together my plan. And so in this case, right, I got a date, early October. They're expecting my call. We're going to call in. We're going to see how that project's going. And if it's going great, wonderful. They're not going to move. When the project's done, if there's not another project, why would they stay, right? So it's a longer term thing. But for me, I think the best tool that someone can use is the old shoebox. I was taught this by Tom Hopkins in his basic sales stuff. It's Gary Keller calls it, what does he call it? Gary and the Box. It's in the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. Great book. But Gary calls it Gary in the Box. I learned it from Tom Hopkins well before I ever went to KW. It's simple, right? You go to Staples and you pick up these little tab cards, and there's one set that you can get that has January through December. There's another set that has 1 through 31. And so this is the month of, where are we, October? August, and it's August 16th. Is that what that says? And so in the front, oh, it's the 10th. I would have August, and then the front card would be 10, and then everything beyond it would be 11 all the way back through to the 9th. And if I'm talking to Fred right now, I have I was taught originally 3x5 cards, but I started buying 5x8 cards because I ended up with lots and lots of notes on these things. And so I would have Fred and his contact information, all that stuff. I have a conversation with Fred, and we agree that in October, I'm going to talk with Fred. And so I would take his 5x8 card and I would drop it into the month of October. And if I talk to Barney this afternoon and he wants to talk in December, I'm dropping his card in December, right? So as the month goes through, as the days go through, I just work through whatever's in my bucket. And so recently I've been using Google Calendar the same way. I just create a contact. I have an appointment with him today. I put my notes in. The next time I'm going to touch him is going to be October 1st. I just make it an appointment, assign a time to it, and on October 1st, I'm calling Fred, right? So that became my box. But I found a lot of value in doing the shoebox type thing because it was very tactile. And I think one of the greatest gaps we have in our attraction process is losing track of people. You talk to someone, you had a good conversation, maybe you talked to them when you were in the car, you meant to update your notes, you meant to set the next expectation, and you didn't, and then someone else ends up attracting them, right? And so doing it with 5x8 cards or 3x5 cards, I have the card in my hand, I make the call, I write my notes, and now I have to decide what I'm going to do with the card. Right? It goes in one of those slots, and by sticking it in there, it means it's always in front of me. Nathan and I are testing out a new CRM. We really like it. We're only in the infancy with it. The plan is that we're going to really put it on a strong shakedown cruise here over the next month or so, and when we get together for the big expansion meeting in New Orleans, which is the Saturday before the convention, we plan on sharing that. So you guys can see exactly what we're doing and all that stuff. But the processes that we're talking about here are the same things, just it's using a tool in a different way. But for me, when we're talking with someone, it's what's the next step, and there's just a few buckets that we talk about, right? So if I talk to someone today and they're hot, I want to know when's the next time we're talking, right? So if they're going to watch the video tonight, I want to talk to them tomorrow if possible. Or if they can't watch the video to this weekend, I want to talk to them on Monday or Tuesday if that's the soonest. And so, when's the next time, when's the next time? And so I have a process that I want everyone to do, right? I want to have an initial call. I want to talk about the 5 pillars. I want them to watch my video. I want them to have a tour of the cloud office. And I want to have a 1-hour meeting with them. So I want to cover all of those things. And so if it's progressing, those are the things that we're moving them through. Once it falls off that track, right? It might be, I don't have time to watch the video, give me a call in 6 months, fine. Or maybe we get them all the way through the process and they have a non-compete, they can't do anything until March, or they're under a contract, or there's something that causes a delay, then we're just going to figure out what that delay is and where the re-entry point is. And then just having a system of, I'm talking to you today, and based on what the feedback is, this is the next step. And so if they agree on it, it's an appointment. If they don't know what's going to happen, it's an activity for me. Does that make sense? Questions?
Dave, you're talking about you're telling them about the 5 pillars before they watch the video?
Well, so if they'll watch the video without me telling the 5 pillars, then I have them watch the video because all 5 pillars are in there. But what I find oftentimes is that I can't get everyone to commit to watching the video unless I give them the 5 pillars, and I keep the 5 pillars to 10 minutes, 15 minutes max. And my entire goal of going into it is getting them to agree to watch the video. Right?
Okay.
So I'm not giving them all the details, right? But so for example, on technology, we use KV Core. Are you familiar with KV Core? No. Well, let me just tell you, I think it's one of the best lead generation tools for an agent to use. Are you using anything for lead generation today? No. We'll definitely watch the video, and then we'll, when we get together live, I can show you my KV Core and show you that we're pulling in 2-3 leads a day on that. 2-3 leads a day. Would that change your life? Yeah, good. Watch the video, and we'll get together for lunch on Tuesday.
So you're using that conversation to find a little snippet about one of those pillars to lead into the video then. That's what you're saying?
Yep.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah, because if the video is a half hour, that saves me a half hour for every person who would want more information.
Got it.
Right.
Thank you.
And so if I can do the 5 pillars in 2 minutes, and they go, yeah, I'm going to watch the video. Great. Let's book a time for a follow-up. And if they're close by, I want to do them live. If they're not close by, I want to do it on the phone. Jonathan, I see your hand up.
Yeah, you had mentioned you're going to be updating your video here in the next couple weeks. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I had been promising that, and there have been, the company's moving awful fast on a lot of things, right? A lot of changes. We updated the mentor program. I want to have that in there. Ton of stuff, right? The new slide deck, all of that. And for the next week and a half or so, I'm on a grand adventure. I am going around New England having a lot of fun. When the 24th, 25th, whatever that Saturday is, I'm actually locking down at a lake house, and I got friends and family coming in, and it's going to be a grand adventure, but I'm planning on it having relaxation in there, and it's my intent to knock out the video while I'm there. So that is all going to wrap up on Labor Day or the day after Labor Day. So I will commit to everyone here that I will have it done by the end of Labor Day weekend. My goal is to have it be a 30-minute deal. It's a little longer. You got to forgive me. I just want to make sure I got everything in that video, so all the details that someone needs to know is in there without anything left out. So I'll get it done. I'll post it in our private Facebook group. I'll give you guys a chance to go through it, poke any holes in it. I'll do an update to it, and then that'll be the one that we're going to use until there's another update from the company.
Awesome. Thank you.
What can you use in the meantime for the video? My video is the 32-minute video, and it's on my private YouTube channel. Feel free to use it if you guys are comfortable with that. So since that video is now, I don't know, 7 or 8 months old, we had those updates to the fee structure on July 2nd. And so I never send out that video anymore without a couple lines to it that says, on July 2nd, we changed some of the structure that's in the video. So just so you know up front, the E&O is $40 everywhere, still capping at $500. The $420, which is the university tuition fee, instead of coming out in a lump sum, that is now a more smoother payment of $35 a month. And I think that's Oh, and the joining fee is $149 instead of $99. I'll be updating the video shortly, but in the meantime, all the other facts that are in there are accurate. And I send that with the video. So I am giving them a disclosure. I'm not giving them a video that is not, giving them the facts that they need to make a decision today. Jeff is asking the Gagnon training event. Jeff, no, it's not the Sunday before. The Sunday before is, I gotta go check the date because the event starts, EXPCon starts Monday night. Yeah, I think the RE Bar Camp is Monday during the day, and the Gagnon event is that Sunday. Yeah, so I'll be sending that stuff out also by the end of this month. So look at that. There's only going to be 150 tickets available. So if you're planning on going, if you have people in your group that you want to go, keep plugging into the Gagnon private group. We'll be posting it there first. Thanks for helping with that, Jeff. All right. Any questions on the follow-up? So for me, I like having some clear-cut things, right? So when I taught lead generation at my old company, in the book that we used, it talked about an 8x8 plan, a 12 direct plan, and a 33 touch plan. The 8 direct plan is just having 8 things over 8 weeks. That is your sequential element. And so what I've done with that on agent attraction is just what we talked about, right? The pillars, the video, the cloud campus tour, a 1-hour Q&A or live event with me, right? Lunch, breakfast, cocktails, whatever. And I want to do that in the first week or 2 or 3 or 4. So I'm not purposely pushing it out to an 8-week thing, but it's a series of things that I want to do in the shortest amount of time possible. And if someone's on that track, I just want to keep track of where we are in that process. When someone gets to the end of that track, they're either joining or they're not. If they're not joining, I have to decide whether they're on like a 12 direct touch, which would just be, I want to make sure I'm in front of them once a month. And I could do that by being their friend on Facebook and doing a once a month post. I could be using constant contact to get some kind of item of value out to them, right? How to lead generate off of open houses or something where I'm just staying in touch with them. I'm not hammering them about joining. I just want to keep nurturing a relationship and stay in front of them. A 33 touch is really a Brian Ferry, Tom Ferry. It'll come to me. But it's
Brian Tracy.
Not Brian Tracy. It'll come to me. But
Dave, wasn't that part of KW, the 33 touch?
Yeah. So KW kind of took stuff that other people have done and made it their own, right? Which is fine. But originally it was done by. It'll come to me. But a high touch program is I want to, so if I was doing high touch with someone, they're still going to get all the 12 direct type of stuff, right? Just to stay in their face kind of thing. But I want to give them something in addition to that once a month. And so for me, I just try to keep it a little systematized. So October might be text month. So for the 200 or 300 people that I have in my high touch, I'm going to touch all of them through a text. And so these are people that I have a relationship with. It might be about their company, it might be about them, it might be about their kid, it might be about something I saw on their Facebook, it might be something that, you know, we posted a great quarter, or stock hit a new high, or anything like that, right? But it's going to be, you know, this month is text month. Next month might be Facebook Messenger month. And so the same group of folks, but I'm going to communicate with them through Facebook Messenger, right? The month after might be LinkedIn private message. The month after it might be email, right? So it's not like, in the old days, I was taught to use Top Producer and have these drip campaigns. And it would, you know, be telling them all about the company and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they look cool and they said things and it was like, oh, that's such a good message. The reality of it is, it's just a spammy drip campaign. Everyone's getting the same thing. And what ends up happening is people start putting it in their spam box and now you have no voice with them ever again. So when people say, well, what's your drip campaign? What's your follow-up? It's not that, you know, the first email I say this and the second email I say this and by the fifth email they're joining. I've never found a system like that that works that way for me, right? Maybe I'm just dumb. But for me, it's like, nope, if I stay in touch with someone, if I bring value to someone that they'll want to have a conversation with me one more time, then when something happens in their world, there's a good chance that I'm in the conversation, right? So I always treat it like, you know, they're in a canoe, everything's good, they're on a calm lake, you know, life is good. Why would they want to attempt to stand up in the canoe to step over to my boat? Well, maybe not. But if we're waving to each other, sharing sandwiches with them, you know, we're chit-chatting, we're fishing together, we're just in different boats, and then someone throws a stick of dynamite in their boat and it goes under the seat and it's wedged in there and they can't get it out, now they might say, hey, bring your boat over, I want to hop out of this one, right? Or maybe they jump in the lake and I just happen to be there, I can help them, or, you know, a lot of different things, right? So I don't think there's magic to make someone do something they don't want to do. I think being a decent human being keeps you engaged with other good people. And if there's opportunity to create dialogue, then you can work together. So that's just my style. And I'm happy to share it. And some of you folks in the room know what that looks like because I brought you into the company. But, you know, to me, it's just having intent. I know in the month of October, you know, loosely what I'm doing with everyone. Everyone's not getting the exact same message, but everyone's getting touched this month. Make sense? All right. I hope that helps. I hope this session brought you value today. I'm going to post this up by the end of the day in the private channel. And if you can't find that, look for these in our private Facebook group. Then once you end up on the channel, hit subscribe, then click the bell so you get notified every time we put a new one up. And if you're not in the private Facebook group, get with your upline or their upline, or you can email nathan@thegagnongroup.org and he can send you a link to it. But we want everyone to be connected, and I want to share openly and sincerely with everyone and help you grow as big as you want your revenue share to be. And that'll allow you to serve more clients. So I'll talk with you soon. Have a great week. Bye-bye.